my expectations for this live are. I want to go over XRP. I want to look at Bitcoin. We've got to talk about the propagation of war that could expand today as Trump came out and promised that he's going to hit Iran harder than he has at any time on this Saturday. So we'll see if those words become an active measure. We'll take a look at XRP to see and just once again iterate how we can invalidate a drop to 86.6 cents and look at the all-time cup and handle within the descending wedge on the handle. I would like to look into that. I'd like to start out by thanking the audience. We would like to do this from a standpoint of positivity over negativity, and it's up to me and every single one of you to have that positive mindset, that helpful nature, and to avoid some of the nonsensical stuff that can go on when two heads butt. We're not trying to butt heads in this community. In fact, we're trying to pull people together. Had some personal stuff happen yesterday. My stepmom, her daughter had a baby, had a C-section. They sent her home, and apparently she had some internal bleeding that they did not catch somehow. I mean, I'm not going to speak highly of our medical system because it's trash, but she had to be rushed into the emergency room in Ann Arbor, and thankfully she was at the University of Michigan out there in Ann Arbor where they got to send her. She had to have emergency operation. She was in there. She's still in ICU, but she pulled through. At least they didn't know if she was going to, so it was a pretty stressful night. So thankfully Jen is doing okay. It seems like I haven't got an update this morning. I was kind of afraid to see my phone this morning in case she, for whatever reason she passed away or something. But in this sense, no news is good news. So it was a pretty tricky and scary thing for her. So had a C-section, went home, and then ended up being rushed back, and it turns out she had internal bleeding. So not a cool thing. So like we always say, when you come in here, use that positive light. Say a little prayer for not only her, for Bearded Viking, for John Hall. His son is out at war or got deployed. So we ask our Lord and Savior Yahweh, Yahshua, Emmanuel to lead that guiding light. Have the most positive outcome possible, and to have the spirit around and guide us. We also want to make sure we pray for Mighty Marcus as well, and make sure that he has that positivity, he has that guiding light around him as well. I will no longer read any negative comments in my community. I made a decision yesterday not to come on last night, even though I wanted to. I just was very disappointed in the way things were going yesterday, but we're not going to even talk about that anymore. We have a choice today to be positive or negative, and I'm choosing the positive light, the spiritual light. And if that aligns with all of you, I really appreciate it. If not, it's okay to walk away. But this is who I am. Good morning. It is Saturday, March 7th, 2026 at 9:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So it's very stormy outside, very thunder-esque, and it's lightning, and we're having pretty severe storms. Fortunately, Michaela was home yesterday. They had a tornado just outside of where she was at in Kalamazoo that claimed 6 lives at the Three Peaks, or Three Rivers, or wherever it was at next to her. So there was 6 or 8 people that were killed in Michigan yesterday, right around where she was at college. Fortunately, she was home, or she's down here at least. She's not at our house, but she's at least down here for a couple days. So it's good to know she was not up there and that. But yeah, it's been some pretty tricky weather around here. So besides that, I really am very appreciative of all of you. I really do appreciate everybody. The lives are not being pushed out so great because YouTube is really shadow banning. And I've noticed when we get into some real dark, complex issues that it gets even more shadowed. So let's just, from a standpoint of us helping each other, remember, when you come in here, you don't know what somebody else is dealing with during the day. And I've made it my mission to do better. The last couple days, we fought in a little bit to some of the nonsense, but we're not doing that no more. So let's just make sure we keep everybody on our focus. Make sure that we are trying to lend that hand of helpfulness and not deter somebody. Remember, some people come in here and this is their only positive light. They get to interact with all of us. They like the community. So let's do our best to push that positivity out to the rest. So I thank you. I couldn't build this community without all of you. And let's do this from a standpoint of we're going to take over and we're going to command the day in the way we want. So with that being said, XRP must, and I mean in the next 5 to 6 hours, we have to invalidate this little area. If we want to have a good day today as far as price appreciation, which we do have an opportunity, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Because of all the propagation, because of all the negativity out there, because everybody is looking at it one way, these are the times if we could get some kind of push here, and I'll show you exactly what we need to do. We need to turn this in today and pop this back up into this category and get back at least above that $1.37 and start pushing up. And if we can, there are ways that we could start to do something a little bit different today. And maybe have some kind of push here that wouldn't be expected. See, when you have push downs here and then you have this pull up on these candles, this was the attempted reversal. Came back down, tested the low. Now we came back up. If this candle can pull up, we do have some upward capitulation that we could do. And when I was measuring this out, I was starting to think about this. And if we can get back above here, in essence, we never really had a strong tug back up to that $1.42 area, but it's going to take a little bit of work. So what I want to do today is I want to have an overall measure with the community. And if there's 50, 60, 110, I don't care how many people are in here, I want to have an active discussion. And I want to make sure that we're all kind of in a uniform mindset. And if we're all on this unilateral approach, we're going to be able to take this by the storm. We're going to be able to take this as it comes. And right now, the 4 hourly, there is an opportunity. If this candle, and we've still got an hour left, we'll be here for most of this. We might be here through the whole candle, actually, now that I think about it. Because sometimes when my mind's nervous, I like to talk and dig into my work. So I'm going to be definitely working a lot today as I wait for news on Jen, because that's a pretty unbelievably bad situation that they're dealing with right now, as my dad and my stepmom had to rush out to Ann Arbor last night. So, you know, keep her in your prayers for sure. She almost lost her life yesterday because of, yeah, I don't even really want to go into it any deeper, but that's about all I can tell. But I'm just thankful that the Lord didn't take her away, at least at this moment. Having a new child now that was just born, I mean, she's got other kids, and definitely not her time. She's younger than I am, so it's not her time. However, I guess we all really don't know when it's really our time, but I don't think it's her time yet. She has a lot to offer still, so like I said, you never know what someone's dealing with. So when I come in a little more hardcore, there might be something other than the surface. So I got to keep my own emotion in check as much as you have to keep yours. So right now in the 4 hourly, we're looking to try to invalidate this little bit of a bearish, pulled back up, tried to break down, pushed back up. Now, if we can hold this candle and get a new high, that is going to be dependent on what's going on here. If we can get some kind of increase here or some kind of volatility to the upside, this is where you say, okay, do we enter anything to try to make a swing? As you know, my opinion right now is short trades, not to the downside, but short-term swing trades when we get that imbalance. Well, we don't know if we have imbalance yet. I would have preferred for this to come down to $1. I know it sounds crazy, but I would prefer for this to have redirected itself down here and started bouncing off of this $1.31 level just to kind of reassert itself in the pattern breakout. Because in my opinion, we're still on what looks like could be a descending wedge breakout. And I know if I was being more accurate, we could come through like this now that we know what's going on, just to iterate it. And I think that's a better way to look at this, just so we don't get tricked. So I do think there's a lot of opportunity. The picture I used for my live is not one that's going to get the most views, but I think it's going to get the right views. It shows the propagation of war in the background. It shows, here, I can show it like this better so that you can see it just a little bit better. So it tells a story. It shows the XRP could be going towards the sinking ship. That little spiral would be down to $1, sub $1 if we break through. You got the warships and subs in the background that you can't see the subs underground, but there's warships because we have the proclamation that Trump said today that he's going to hit Iran harder than he ever has on this Saturday. So with that being propagated, I just wanted to show like the nature of what's going on, the danger in the waters. But a lot of times in the murky waters, like we seen last weekend, we ended up an opportunity by Monday into Tuesday, but we were already out by Thursday. So it had to be a 48-hour opportunity. Right now, we need to see if the bulls are starting to take over. So what you want to see, guys, and listen very closely. I'm going to teach you a lot right now. And this is my apologies the last couple days for feeding into the fire. And you weren't able to get the best analysis in the beginning. But I promise you, that is over. And there will be no more feeding into all of that. We're going to feed into the positivity only. In fact, I'm going to skip over. I've already seen a few comments that, were quite stir-worthy in my earlier video and so on and so forth. But I think the positive light can be taken out of this. So we have this tug down. And you see when it pulls up here, I'm going to teach you something today. You see how this wick is down? And then we got this body here. And then you got the wick pointing up. That's the bulls, baby. I know we have this extreme pull down. But you want to see where the small wick is pointing out the top. And if we get a close up here, that means the bulls took control of this candle. Yes, it's a fight between the bears and the bulls. But as of right now, we've got an opportunity in this very live together where you see how this is pointing up. This is what you want to see, the small wick out the top with the body towards the top. That means the bears tried to take control and the buyers stepped in. In fact, they pointed it to the up direction here. And now if we can close within this body somewhere around $1.36.5, an active trade might be had today. Now, it might only be a 24-hour trade, but we're going to talk about this with the most amount of information so that everybody can understand, no matter your experience level. I want you to be able to come in here and be able to take out a vibe where you're like, you know what, I didn't really know what I was thinking when I came in, but damn, this guy at least gave me the opportunity to understand what was going on. I'm not going to swear, maybe some mild swear words, but I want this to be family friendly in case you're sitting down with your kids or your significant other or your parents or anybody. And I want you to be able to, in a semblance, I want us to be able to speak what's going on these charts together. I don't want to talk at you. I want to talk with you. I want it as if you're part of my students. I want you to be learners. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, I don't understand the market psychology or the anatomy, or I don't understand what's going on, you can always level up into the live classes. They're also available after. That's in the video description below and our pinned comments. We've already done 10 classes so far. So those are an active running database. I teach it on Zoom, but you're able to watch it on YouTube, and the entire database is on YouTube. So if you want to level up, show a little bit of additional support for my work and things like that, and want to learn and bet on yourself, that would be a great way to do it. For the ones who come and go, we're just trying to pick up 1 or 2 people a day to become part of the main group. That doesn't mean paid subscribers. That just means more of you to become active, become a more integral part of this community and try to learn a little bit deeper so that we can learn a little bit deeper. See, I need all of you that come in every day, that stick around to help us expand our views. So if you're coming in, what we want to do is have this candle close above that $36.20. We want to close above this reversal and try to close in this body. And then that could signify the next move up to about that $38.50. We get up to that $38.50, we can start talking a little bit, because then we'll be back within the liquidity box. But I just want to state the importance of this candle. The fact the wick is pointing up gives us a shot. See how this wick pulled down? This is perfect. Perfect learning experience this morning. See how this wick came down? We had the body down here, pushed through the bottom, so it was aiming down, had another pull through, but now we had a hold. This candle tried to pull down but pulled back up, when in fact it told us the next candle was going to start down. Now if this pulls up, our next candle could feed all the way back up to this liquidity box. Is it a big move here? No. But what it can do is it can turn the narrative. And I like when there's a lot of noise in the water and there's a lot of fear, because now a lot of people are looking at what Trump said today and they said, oh shoot, crap. He said we're going to propagate the war. So now a lot of people are fearful. We went from 22 the other day to 18 to 12. This tells me on the down tug now everybody's selling and they're not necessarily looking at the opportunity in front of us. And by no means am I saying this would be a long-term trade if it develops. And I'm not even a financial advisor. So all I'm trying to do is teach you within the candlestick formations what they mean. So I think there could be an opportunity developing. I know a lot of people are becoming scared in crypto. I can see it within the analytics, not just from my channel, but I look through the overall crypto analytics, and it shows that there's a 12% drop across the board with people viewing crypto and crypto channels. I don't know if this is I don't know if this is particular to just because of what's going on and people are getting a little afraid to trade risk assets, but across the board, the public demand it's going down a little bit. I can definitely tell on my own channel there's less viewers. My live only got 735 views yesterday. There's only 68 people in here right now. Whether that's an indictment on me, YouTube recommending my channel, or a combination of both, I have to do better to make sure that the right people find this place and stay. But I can definitely tell that we're going in the wrong direction in crypto as far as the interest, which is normal. We're not exactly in the most bullish market and things like that. So it's up to each and every one of us to find our narrative and have a straight line focus to where we can still make the best of this. Like I said, if we want this candle to reverse in the next 56 minutes, we want this to be up towards this candle body and pointing to the top side. But right now we are still painfully below that liquidity zone. It's trying to act as it. It's trying to tell if it's a resistance or a support line. So this is going to be a lot to tell us in the morning. If we move on out to Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin sitting at 67,000, about 900. Looks like a head and shoulders pattern. However, we do have some of this upward tugging in this liquidity. We still have the bullish cross. Now, if we don't figure this out, we're going to come back down to about 65K. I know there's a strong support level we haven't back tested where we could still, and it's my opinion, we could come down to 63,500 possibly. I also want to thank a few of you. One thing I forgot, a few of you decided to take it upon yourself when there was a little negativity in the community and you started to separate yourself from it. And I really, really admire that. Whether it meant you had to block people or whether it meant that you had to step away for a day and you wanted to become more positive, I appreciate that mindset because it bled over to me when I started to see the positivity, even in those negative moments. So I thank you for that because it takes a big person to kind of step away and not feed into it. So it taught me a lot too about myself, just watching some of your guys' activities. And I really did appreciate that yesterday, seeing that mindset. Right now, Bitcoin could come up to 70K to try to test it because what I'm seeing here is shoulder, possible head. Here, you know what? That's a short term. Let's see something. Let's just try to do an example real quick and see what we're seeing. I'm going to pull out the head and shoulders setup. So could it be that we came from here, came into a left shoulder? Nah, I don't know. Because that would come way too far down for a neckline. So I don't think it started there, actually. I think what ended up happening is we can't use it like that. Here, let me get rid of this real quick. I don't think we can do it like that. See, that was my debate with my own self. I think what happened is we ended up resetting, and then we came up and tried to create a head, neckline, or shoulder, neckline, head. So if it's going to be a shoulder, it would have to be something like this. Okay, so see, now we have a unified box and a measurement here. So that's what we're trying to get. Okay, I kind of like that because it did. It created a little uptrend there. See how it creates the uptrend if you do this properly? Creates the box here. So if that's a shoulder, head, shoulder, what we're looking for is an invalidation here. You know what? I kind of like that. Because you do have the uptrend identifiable, so then you can spread this out like this. So it would be something like that. It could invalidate. You'd have a little bit of space here. Let me properly assert this. Which means that a shoulder, if we space it out properly, could end up something like that. So let's see how this space works out here. We're significantly oversold in the 4-hourly. So I do like that. I like the shoulder head. We haven't created a shoulder yet, so we need to see if this is a shoulder being built. I do like right now in the 4-hourly. Remember what I said? Shoot, hold on. I don't want that to be ruined. I do like... This is supposed to be... I know where it's supposed to be, so it's not hard to reset. So, I do like for essence, or for a purpose here, for a short-term possible movement, I like how this candle right here has this upward wick, and we're to the top side. This next 53 minutes we're going to watch closely, because if this validates this candle, we're going up in the next couple of candles. Whether that has top side liquidity just to 70K, whether we get beaten down at the 20-day, we're going to know a lot by this candle. So let's just see if this 4-hourly can finish off, or if this is going to just move down. But right now, that's more hammer-esque. And when they're red hammer candles, sometimes they're more dominant because they started off so porous. But we want that upward sloping wick like it is. Did I just see a 20 donation? What the hell? Oh, excuse me. What the heck? Wow, 1970 Legends. Thank you so much for the 20 gifted subs. Holy smokes. And thanks for being part of Tom's Army for 1 year plus with the I Told You. Dude, that's extremely generous. I know for a fact yesterday you donated like $49.99 super chat. So that's extremely generous. Very trusted mod in here. In Tom's Army for over 1 year. A fellow, well, he's not a fellow Buckeye, but he's my friend down in Ohio. A Buckeye fan. And as I'm a Wolverine, but, you know, we mesh very well. And I can't wait until the day I can meet up with you and sit around the fire and just kind of hang out and shoot, you know, shoot some wisdom back and forth, let's just say. But thank you so much for the 20 gifted subs. And let's see who got those gifted subs. We'll start with the 2 months. The people in 2 months now. So, Andrew, Jeffrey, Aquaman, some great people getting these subs too. Andrew Trimus, Patriot United, and good luck with all that. Congratulations on getting the 2nd month in Tom's Army now with the Dust Out House Crypto News, thanks to the gifted subs by 1970 Legend. And your 1st months now, Knowledge News, John Wright, Manny, in this moment, Dina Cousin, Sean, DGP, Johan, John Wilt, Payush, Lucky Main, Jared Dog, W Moloch, and CTR Live. Congratulations on being in Tom's Army for your 1st month now with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens, and that is my face superimposed on that emoji badge. OG Chic in 6 months now, along with Gauss, Liz Taylor. Thanks for being in Tom's Army now for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Thank you so much, 1970 Legend, for that vote of confidence and donating subs to very valuable members of this community. I know it's at random, but that is a super generous gifting. I mean, unbelievably generous, my friend. I can't thank you enough. Jerry Clark, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. Mr. Scott and Mrs. Stott, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army 6+ months with the XP Predictor, along with Bright Future. Mr. Stott says, you guys remember when Iran sneezed a few years back and oil wound up at 150? I think this could get higher than that, maybe 200. Right now, the technical target's around 101 out of this descending wedge. And then you would expect some kind of consolidation, but I don't disagree. That was a descending wedge in the monthly, and there's still a lot of room to work there. So I expect somewhere about $101 was his first initial target. So we'll see exactly how that plays out. But I definitely remember that very vividly, my friend. Great insight. Mellowmania and Andrew, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army 2nd month with Dust House Crypto News. Lockheed Martin to quadruple its production sector pump. Picked up... Ooh. We're going to have to put... We're going to have to put Lockheed for stock purposes. Can't remember the symbol, though. LMT. Wow, they're up to 671. They're already... See, they were already... Wow, we can't even look at that, I don't think. It's already so far ahead. I'm going to keep that on my board just to watch. But yeah, this has definitely been speaking of something big coming, isn't it? Cup and handle... Interesting. We'll look at that later. We got to focus on crypto, but good insight there, my friend. Good insight there. So we'll continue to watch this chart for the next 49 minutes or so to see if we can finish on an upward tug and see if it's going to point to a little bit of volatility to the upside on this Saturday. It's going to be very defiant by how this candle closes here on this 4-hourly. Very, very, very much so. Let's see. Garbanzo. Prayers for Viking and Michael. Amen to that. Everyone, may God bless you all. I'm praying for the community and the few really going through it. I'm praying extra for you. Thank you so much, Bearded Viking. And for all the prayers for my stepsister, Jen, as my stepmom and my dad had to go out to Ann Arbor last night because she had a C-section. They sent her home, and then she had to be rushed back to the emergency room. She almost lost her life. She had internal bleeding. I don't know if it was going on for a day or two, but she had to have emergency surgery. Thankfully, she pulled through because I believe she flatlined. So it's one of those things. It's one of those things. So I appreciate all the prayers, not just for my family, but for everybody else's out there as well. It's why we call on our Lord and Savior for some guidance. You know, it's why we keep that spiritual mind, because when Jesus is on your side, or Yahweh, Yeshua, and when you're blessed, you know, you have to say blessings, and then you can receive the blessing as it's set for you. We don't know what our path is. You know, that's the thing. We don't know what the Lord has for us, but we do know that we can try to take it in a spiritual way instead of, there's too much satanicness. I realized yesterday too, just watching our world, that there's a lot more people that call for the power of hate than the power of prayer and guidance. There's a lot more people that are rude than kind, so we kind of have to take it within ourselves to be calm, stay emotionless, and to push that power of positivity so that more and more people can be invited towards that. So, yeah, fortunately, she was in the best hospital, in my opinion, University of Michigan, because she lives close to Ann Arbor, so they rushed her to Ann Arbor to go to the U of M. So, I mean, that probably is hopefully what saved her. But we'll see. She's still in the ICU, so I don't know any more updates as of yet. I just know she pulled through last night when it was a very scary situation. And I wasn't sure what I was going to wake up to, so I was a little nervous. I had some bad dreams about her, so I'm glad that she's still with us. Let's just put it that way. Tom, if you're right about XRP to 56.6 cents, I'll join the classes. That's a nice thought. Now, there's no guarantee we come down there. The technical target's 86.6 cents. What I'm alluding to with that 54 to 56 cent range is XRP's in an all-time cup and handle, and on the handle that's built a descending wedge, but it has no third tap yet. So there's no guarantee that it comes down there, but what it would appear to be, let me delete this so you can see the actual formation. So what it would appear to me to be is it might not come to 56 cents or 54, but if it comes to the apex that takes you all the way out to August and September, the apex is right around 54 cents. So don't just expect it to come all the way down there. It could come down to 89. It could come down to 86. You know, we'll see what happens, but we've hit resistance 1, resistance 2, resistance 3, support 1, support 2, huge cup and handle, descending wedge, which would be the most bullish opportunity if this does come back down. I would equate this to trying to be patient to see how it plays out one way or the other, because does it really matter if you buy it there? Or, I mean, it's obviously a bigger tug up if you wait for confirmation over the top. But in order for this pattern, a lot of people are like, oh, you only need 2 hits on each side. I disagree with the pattern like this. I think the third tap on the support and or resistance is very telling for a pattern direction. And because this is an all-time cup and handle, I equate this to a possible lifetime opportunity like we got when we waited for 34 cents on that uptrend when we were in the 8-year consolidation from 2018 to 2024 breakout in November. I equate this to that same opportunity with patience. Now, the weekly is extremely oversold. The daily is overbought. So if we could be patient enough to wait for this flush, because until this is invalidated, you have a shoulder, head, shoulder. You know, so we have to wait for this overall setup to finish off. So he fell asleep. Oh, I thought that was him coming out. I got excited for a sec. I was just about to tell everybody, T might be coming out. My son fell asleep. He's been up since about 2 a.m. So it's a good time for a nap. He came home from school and he was exhausted because he woke up the other day at like 1:30. He stayed up, went to school, came home, fell asleep just before 4, and he slept until 2. So he got a great night of sleep. got to hang out with me until about, what was it, 5:15 or so, and then he hung out with Julie. So now he's napping, so I'm sure Julie's gonna go rest now. Um, oh yeah, she's been working on stuff for The Sims, so like she's gonna start creating stuff. She has a TikTok, but she's really good with all of that, with the custom content. So I encouraged her cause since she can't work because of her foot and her injuries, she could, but it's gonna be stressful. So I prefer for her to be home. Uh, so she's been working on that, and I encouraged her to start putting out some content. She's really good at it. A lot of people play that kind of stuff, so I think she could do very well with it. It's not crypto time, it's rocket time. I don't disagree with that. The 4 hourly is starting to give it back. That's why I said we have to be very sure that that's going to give us something. Because with what Trump talked about today, it's a very dangerous time in crypto. But that doesn't mean you can't learn, folks. If you want to bet on yourself and bet on this, bet on me and want to take some of the knowledge I have at a deeper level, consider joining these classes. We just finished phase 2. We're going into phase 3, which is going to get into the institutions, the banks, the heavier people that manipulate. There's just a lot of stuff. There's 10 classes. There's got to be over 16 hours of learning, so it's going to take you time to get through these 10 episodes or these 10 classes so far. But we go through, if you want to know about the DNA of money and the great transitioning from where we were at in the past, where we are now, and where we're going in the future. If you want to know about it's all within the pictures. You can take that deeper learning, and I would greatly appreciate if you join the classes. I don't know how many people maintained through this month, as we did have 44 people as in part of the class, but it's a new month. So I don't know how many people stayed with it or if anybody added. Not many are adding to it, but we've had a nice amount of people that are staying with it. Yes, 44 people, which I'm one of them. So there's 43 actual people. So everybody but one stayed. One person left and requested a refund, so they got refunded. I'm not exactly sure what I did wrong there, but they refunded and YouTube took it out of my pay. So it is what it is. That is what it is. That happens. But anyhow, let's see. Later, folks. Gotta get the grandson's basketball. Hey, 1970 legend. Good luck. Keep us updated on that, my friend. And thank you so much for those gifted subs. I really appreciate that. I know the people who got those gifted subs appreciate it as well. Good luck on that. Please let us know, 1970 legend. Be safe out there. I don't know if it's raining by you in Ohio, because you're not too far from me, but it is storming here. So please be safe out there. And we really hope to hear some good news about that basketball game. Smackamation, good morning, family. I hope you have a blessed weekend. You too, my friend. Be blessed. I'm proud to see you in here. Everybody who's tuning in this morning. Andrew says the demand for crypto will pull back like it is. It's normal based on geopolitics. I agree with that. I agree with that. And this would be a great time to watch to see if we do get a significant pullback. I am so ready for this to break down if and when it does. But still watching to see if we get points of contention where we can still break out, because this 4-hour candle still has 40 minutes left. Let's see the definition we're going to get today. So yeah, it's exciting to watch it with all of you. I'm really excited to see people coming in now. We had about 65 people when I started, and now it's up to 96. So that means we have a little bit of retention this morning. So if it's your first time in here, welcome in. If I can give you one vote of confidence, I've been doing this since March 24th of 2021. I've not missed a single day on YouTube, so 5 straight years of work. We got in 21 in the bear market when I first started. We got out in the 21 peak at the end of the bull market. We got back in the 23 bear market. We got out at the peak of the 25 bull market, and now we're waiting to reassemble, as we've been in a bear market since July of 25. And we're looking at it as truthfully and as honestly as we can. I know I might rub some of you the wrong way because I get bearish a lot when we're in bearish times, and I don't sugarcoat it. I don't come on here like some do that try to get views that want to just hype it up and maybe tell you the truth in the last 5 seconds. I don't think that does anybody any good, because nobody watches until the last 5 seconds. They want to hear what they want to hear, and then they leave. So I just give you it straight from beginning to end. I don't care if it hurts my subscriber count, because in the end, I believe we find the right people, and then we do it in a unified way, and then you can trust me. Trust goes a long way. Integrity is very hard to find in this world. So if you have integrity, if you have that positive light, if you have that spiritual guidance, and that doesn't mean you have to believe in faith. I don't push my faith. I just ask for guidance. Um, I think we'll do very well here together. So now what we're trying to do is see when the appropriate time in crypto. We've done some swing trades. Last week we had a great trade. We watched the market. We seen a bottom hit, and we called, buy an opportunity. It was only a 2-day opportunity. I told everybody on Thursday, take that profit before it drops. And now we've seen what happened since Thursday. We hit a peak, and it's dropped. And I think the charts are not misleading us. I think they're telling us of the news. It told us about the propagation of war with oil. All we had to do was listen. And that descending wedge told us something bigger was coming across the world in oil. And all we had to do was listen to it. The descending wedge breakout, when it broke out back test, it gave us a target of 101. And then we seen the propagation last week even deeper. And we had the biggest weekly run on oil as far as price appreciation in the history of the crude oil. It's never moved that much in 1 week, which means expect oil prices, or at least gas prices, in the near future to go up by about 5 to 10% here across the board. So, anyone have oil stocks you recommend us to consider investments? I don't know if it's necessarily oil stock worthy, but I've had it on my list for a while. Murphy's Oil, which we missed the boat on, just like with Northern Oil and Gas. They're both breaking out as we speak. We could have bought it right at the bottom when that Venezuela stuff happened, but I was still in commodities, and I waited for that to fill out. So, it's an even wash because I've already made it on commodities. But do I wish I would have made the transfer when I talked about it? I do. But not in the stocks. I wish I would have just bought WTI like I was thinking, and didn't wait for, I wish I would have just went with that. But obviously we had trades in crypto that equal or may have advanced our pricing even more. So it's kind of hard, but yeah, you got to watch to see how this plays out because the oil stocks seemingly are starting to break out. So there's some things on there. I think the charts predict the news, so I don't even think you need to watch the news. I think they predict what's going to be said. So, unfortunately, right now, XRP's letting us down in the 4-hourly. Like, this would be a horrible candle close. Even though it's pointing up, the direction would be the bears took control here. And then our next few candles would be down if this continues, because this will engulf pretty far down if it stops here. We really need a candle close over at least $1.36.5 to try to propagate it to the upside. So it's one of those things. Now, if you're buying cryptocurrency, please don't end up being exit liquidity. You want to make sure that you're getting that confirmation. And right now, we've only got a rejection of bearishness. So don't be the exit liquidity voluntarily, but try to find opportunity. Remember, you can only buy the dip when it's the real dip. No one's ever bought a dip on the non-dip. They just end up becoming over the top, So that's why we try to come in here every single day and propagate a environment where we're trying to actually look at the proper dip levels. And that's also why I've been talking about. I don't like the swing trade, but I become a swing trader in bear markets. That's the only time you'll ever see me swing trade, is in bear markets like we're in. Otherwise, I believe in the investment. And then you ride it out through the entire bull market. You don't sell every pullback. But in a bear market, you're trying to buy those swings. And then if it turns into something more, you're already positioned. But if you get that rejection like we've seen, and it was an easy one for us. We already knew our bearish confirmation zone. The liquidity sweep would push up. We had the overexpansion zone where we had a little bit of, let's just call it a little bit of dilution up here where we had to come back and we'd have to break back above here. We failed to do that. We broke down the liquidity box with a shoulder head shoulder, looks like. And now even here where we created the distortion here, the little bit of liquidity gap, we still got rejected on that box. So that's why I keep saying, let's see if we can close this candle up a little bit. Right now it's underwhelming. So that's kind of my mindset right now. I've become a swing trader, as you know. I'm trying to propagate a little bit of an advancement in income. But we still have a ton. We still have so much there's still so much to go here. So we'll see. We'll just see how this 4-hour candle finishes. Right now, it's underwhelming at best. If you want this to show a sign of the bull stepping in and this upward pointing wick to be valid, we've got to close inside of this candle body, not the stick. We have to be in the body. Otherwise, it'll create an engulfment to the downside, and then it's going to lead to more downside pressure. But there's still 33 minutes left, so we'll continue to monitor this as it goes. MQ, welcome in, my friend. Thanks for being a very trusted mod and doing so much work. So very much work in the community, trying to teach everybody opportunities and things like that. Also, in Tom's on for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor, said doing well in USO. Long way to go. I'm glad about that. Honestly. We've been holding for oil. IMPP. We have been, yep. Cannabis power, and thanks for being in Tom's on 3+ months with the XRP Predictor. Your second month with Dust Dallas Crypto News, Andrew. Appreciate that. Cannabis Podcast, thanks for being a very trusted mod. And also, in Tom's Army for well over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Gonna rewatch shortly. Excellent. Yeah, I would encourage you to watch it from the beginning. But you guys, if you come in now, you could always do that after if you want to stay in real time. But I would definitely encourage watching it all the way through. Right now, again, it's underwhelming, this candle. This candle is very underwhelming. But we still have 31 minutes. For Bitcoin, 67,912. Just excuse Trading View for being a little bit slow here. But I'm imagining there's a lot of people in here. Whoops. As of right now, we're trying to invalidate a possible... if we're trying to create some kind of shoulder, head, shoulder here, you know, we got to get above and stay above what looks like a little bit of an uptrend that I created within that left shoulder, head, shoulder dynamic. This is way too high. It keeps moving because I keep hitting it on accident. But that's our little liquidity zone we got to break out. And then we want to invalidate that head formation if we're going to come up. So we've still got a lot of... we still got a lot to do. No, you're not greedy for wanting sub $1. In fact, your mindset's in the right place unless invalidated. Because unless that, on XRP, unless that descending triangle is broken down and taken care of, we can say everything we want. The technical target will remain 86.6 cents approximately, 86.8. Because that's the technical breakdown of that descending triangle, which is a bearish continuation. It's defined by straight lower support, which is a flat support, and downtrending lower highs simultaneously. An ascending wedge, which is a bullish continuation in most cases, that's defined as stable resistance with the higher lows. So we're kind of the opposite. We created a shoulder, head, shoulder here, which we haven't invalidated as of yet. And we got rejected twice on the descending triangle. So until that's invalidated, the technical target would be 86 and some change. If it gets invalidated to the top side, then all of a sudden you could open the door to 350, but that takes us getting over 202 to even consider. So it's one of those things. Yeah, BlackRock. Okay, so they didn't completely freeze, but they might as well have. Crypto Cooter, they limited it to 5% of your assets to be withdrawn. Even if you had $1 billion, they're only allowing 5%. So that means if you had $100,000 in the bank, BlackRock's only allowing you to withdraw $5,000 of your own money, 5%. So they might as well have just completely flipped it. So they did cap it, but at 5%, it might as well be zero. Imagine if you needed that money. They're only letting you take back 5% of your own money. That's not cool. And that's a big indictment of what's going on. So... you know, that's great information being shared by the audience. You got to pay attention to that, everybody. BlackRock, which is one of the biggest asset management firms that deal with people's money, they're only allowing 5% of your withdrawals to be withdrawn. And that's not every single day. They're capping you at 5% right now. So if you do it once, you're likely not going to be able to do it a second time. That's significant. Could you imagine only being able to take five? Well, I mean, I guess you could. Because in the bank, they only let you take out $5,000 at a time now. Unless you write a written request, which is crazy. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do an ACH transfer for higher purchases, because that's just credit on a screen. But if you want to take it out in cash, it's a very tricky situation. So in the futures market, it's very interesting how we close. We closed on the back test. So, you know, that's very interesting how we're doing this. That almost looks descending wedge-esque. And could it follow in the same line as oil did? So that's why we're looking closely to see if we can get a reversal candle this weekend. The CME closed at $1.3620, which means we don't really have a gap right now. Now, could we go down and sweep? We absolutely could. And right now, that 4-hourly is underwhelming. We want to be around $1.3650 to have that upward body with the candlestick lower, the upward body with a slight wick pointing out the top. If we close up there, it means the bulls took control of the short term. But as of right now, the bears are firmly in control. Bright Future Freedom says, you mark my words, when spotlight comes off war and goes spotlight midterm, go from 86 cent bottom to 3 plus. I would love to see that. And yeah, 86 cents in that area would be a great spot to see if we can hold. But remember, we could expand in that descending wedge all the way down. And then initially, if we hit there, it would hit a third tap around that area. So if we can do this quicker rather than later, we could propagate this in a very well-balanced way. And technically, that technical target out of that descending wedge, if it played properly, and this is something to hold out hope for. And why you don't necessarily want to get caught up if it's going to not come up. This is why you don't buy the dip here unless you're swing trading and it gives you an opportunity. But you don't just say, I'm buying the dip for all times. Because do you really want to buy the dip? And yeah, you might end up coming out ahead later. But what if it does come down here to 86 and we'll measure it in that light? If we come down to 86 cent area on the descending wedge, it tells us somewhere around April 4th, roughly. And would you really want to buy here if you can get 36.5% down? No, you don't. You don't want to give away 1/3 for no reason. Don't fall victim to that mindset of I can buy anywhere and just hold it out. No, that's not what I want to teach. It's not how I teach. I want to make sure you're buying it at the lows, and then you hold through. Still watching 60 cents. If some $1 happens, personally, rather not see it, but on the table for me. Absolutely, Nick. And MQ. Excellent comment, because that's what I've been talking about. If it takes until the end of this descending wedge, technically 54 to 56 is on the table. If it does it in here by April, or even into May, then that 86 cents, well, it would have to be early April, that 86 cents could be valid, but we have to see where it hits. And that would be 70% of the move. And is that within 20% of the bottom? If it hits there, you would definitely want to take it into account. If it hits there, I think this could be our next huge opportunity. That's an all-time cup and handle, and the technical target off of this would be $6.41. The technical target out of this wedge itself, because obviously it's it's not obvious. I'm trying to teach you this. So it won't be obvious to some, it will be to others if you've been in here for a while. But I can't just say it's obvious, because that is not true, because if you don't know, you don't know, and that is not your fault. That's why you're here to learn. So let's just say it breaks out somewhere around here. It comes down and then it breaks out sometime around July or August. That would be $3.43. And then if you can break past there, well, then all of a sudden you start to talk about something even greater. Now, you would still want to make sure that something like this wouldn't happen. Shoulder, head, back into a shoulder. So you'd still want to make sure you don't get a three-peak top. But in my opinion, if you start doing all of this, you've got an all-time cup and handle. That should push us out to 641 in time. So imagine if you buy at that 85 cent mark in that bottoms, or 86. Trump's not getting a third term. That's not how it works. So don't worry about that. That's just all nonsensical. Don't forget the politics. It has nothing to do with what is going on. The charts are speaking of the politics. You don't even need to worry about the politics. Just look at the charts. So you can bet on that. All the political drama, all the advancement of war, you don't even need to watch the politics. Just watch the charts. But if Trump is still in, that means that we've declared martial law, and you wouldn't have a third election. But in a propagation of war, when martial law is in effect and they deem that layer of emphasis, then the acting sitting president stays until the conflict is resolved. Now, if you're speaking of that, that's very possible if we go into a nuclear war. But you know that We got bigger problems than crypto if that happens, let me tell you. But this all lines up. If you're watching what's going on this year in the US with midterms, if this breaks out here in July, August area, that all speaks to the fact that we're gonna have a run up. And wouldn't it be easier to run it up 5, 6, 7, 800% in crypto from a much lower bottom? So that could be the way that they start to bring in the crypto traders and be like, see, we're keeping up with our promises. Don't you want us to follow through and things like that? So I think that's a big thing to watch out for, everybody. I really do. I think it's a great thing to watch out for. May I say I'm delighted by the way this community is responding today. Very positive, very helpful, very in tune, very on track, very together. And I know it starts with me and my positivity and my own output. So that's why, we all hold our part. So I do thank everybody for your approach today. It means a lot to me. I like the approach today. 4 hourly still very underwhelming. Got 22 minutes to rectify this. We're not going anywhere yet. We're still doing this. Oliver Marks says, Tom, good morning. Thanks, Mr. Marks, for being here for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad, showing me that support. I really appreciate that. Tom, good morning. Which chart and why do you use for the all-time cup and handle? You can use any one you want, but I've used this one because I didn't have as much drawn on it, and I denoted it for this because this chart is the one that came down, and I thought that $1.12 was the most accurate when it came down on that first flush down here in February of this year. I really liked how that wick came down. I like how it was setting up back here, even on the October 10th wick, how it was only at $1.40. I think that did a proper flush instead of being over liquidity draw. So I've went with this chart. I really appreciated the way it's set up. It goes back in time and shows you, way back. It doesn't go too far though, so we can focus more on this all-time push after this consolidation. There's really no rhyme or reason except the fact that I like how it's set up. And I think it gives us a lot of evidence. You can do this on other charts as well. Now, I understand it's all an illusion. Trust me. That's why I said yesterday I was disappointed. But we're focusing on positivity over negativity. And I'm not going to even incite that kind of mindset. Nor am I even going to call that kind of stuff out anymore. I'm just going to get rid of those people. And that's just, it doesn't mean a permanent release. It just means you might be released for the day is all. That's all. I'm not going to feed into it. Rubrian, and thanks for being in Tom's Arm for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. It's all an illusion. Ruby Rain, thanks for being in Tom's Army. For being part of this group. You might not be in the Army, but you're in the Army. You're here a lot. And I really appreciate what you give to the community via the comments. Like, everybody holds their own part. Would be a Ukraine type situation with Zelensky if that happened. Unfortunately, Furby Trades, I do not. That's another way. If we go down that line, it's going to be a little dangerous, man. But yeah, all we can do right now is try to do this properly. That's why when we come in, we look at opportunity. But I tell you, listen, this is not the time to bet the stack on the farm. This isn't even the time to advance your portfolio. I'm just being honest. If you're going to advance the portfolio and you're trying to buy it here, you should have bought it at $1.11. Or when I said that $1.18 zone was a good time because that was within 10% of that drop, which ended up being correct because it went down to $1.11. So we're trying to come within 20% of the bottom when we first start to bleed down, right? So you're not trying to buy when it's 35% from a bottom. And this candle is going to be horrible if it ends like this. This will engulf to the downside. And it's going to lead into another drop this morning. With Trump coming out saying what he said with Iran going to be hit harder than it's been hit so far on this Saturday, I don't expect good things in risk assets. That's a head and shoulders breaking down right now. Very defined. The cool thing about the charts is they're denoting everything properly. We're able to follow the algorithm perfectly. We were able to make some profit this week, which was great. I know I was very honest and said I made a few $1,000s earlier in the week, which was great. XDC did me the best, but I was able to sell out on the 200-day, as you guys know, and then it just completely imploded. I was able to ride XRP the way I wanted. I was able to ride some other things. I think I was an XRP Algo V chain, and what was the other one? XDC XLM. So I rode the 5 waves. But then, we don't sit in too long. We just watch it, swing trade, and go back and forth. This isn't a bear market for me yet to where I'm just going to hold everything for long term. This isn't the first time I've done this in 23. In 22 in the bear market, we did very well. Just doing the same thing. Because we know there's exit liquidity that's built. Now our next opportunity would see if we hold this descending wedge at $1.30 and see if we get some kind of push out, and this is a wavy. But we won't know yet. So otherwise, it's still a exhaustion phase after the ABC corrective wave, and then it just comes farther down. But we don't know yet. We've broken out of a descending wedge, at least in the short term. But we have to see if we can hold the back test. In lieu of a back test, this would just be a breakdown. So we can't know anything until $1.30. If it extends out a little bit farther, maybe it's $1.26, could come all the way to $1.20. But as of right now, we're looking for about that $1.30 pull down to see if it holds. And then to see if we can get an advancement out. So that's what I'm looking for. Right now, the 4 hourly is working against us, and there's only 17 minutes left of that 4 hourly. So, there's a lot to go. You weren't out of line, Tom. It got messy yesterday. It's all jokes for me. I love this community. Oh, no, I understand, but I was out of line. You know why? I could have had this mindset and see how we distinguish all the negativity that was here. There was a couple comments in the beginning that could have turned this negative, and I just ignored it. I ignored them and went positive. So it starts with me. So if I feed into it, it's just going to get fed into. If I don't acknowledge it and I turn away from it, we get stuff like this. And notice there's 117 people here this morning. We started with 65. Now we're at 117. Yesterday we started with 70, got up to 104, and ended at 75 because we didn't have that inviting atmosphere. Remember, people aren't coming in here to see us fight. The people that come in here the first time are coming in here for real knowledge. So if we have that negative light, some people deal with negativity all day. They don't want it in here. Some people are dealing with a struggle we can't even imagine. And when they come in here, they're hoping for a united community. And when they come in here and see that, they become more enthralled. When you go into somewhere and you see the house is out of order, especially the leaders feeding into it, it ends up being a not so welcoming environment. And that's why at the end I said I'm disappointed, not just by myself, but just by the way it went. We got it right by the end, but we lost so many people along the way. So that's just what that's the way I wanted to propagate it. So I woke up this morning and made a decision and said, you're going to be positive. Everybody's dealing with something, but we can feed into the spiritual and the guidance side instead of the satanic and negative side. It's so easy to bring out that negative energy in all of us. I know I had to walk away, but I do not blame you at all. Exactly. Sea-bearded, but that's what I mean. So we need to make sure we're inviting people to walk in instead of walk out. So that's why you see this demeanor. That's why you see the calmness, the positivity, the confidence, and just an overall light. And when I talk like this, I'm at my best because I'm laser focused. I'm not talking at you. I'm talking with you. In fact, we're walking together in all of this. We want to walk together. We're all brothers and sisters here, no matter your nationality, no matter your religion. As long as you believe in the higher faith that we help each other instead of hurt, we're doing a great job. Bitcoin starting to pull down a little bit from that top part where it was at, which could be ugly. XRP's below by about 1 cent where we want to be. So if you're walking in here right now, this 4-hour candle is brutal. It had an opportunity to pull up here, finish the candle body at about 136.5. And then have this upward pointing wick. But as of right now, with 14 minutes left over the last 37 minutes, it's pulled back down. Cannabis Podcast says, heavy is the head who wears the crown. That hits me in the soul, Cannabis Podcast. So very true. Do you see PLG bouncing off support for a 25 to 30% move? Excellent question, actually. Oh, crap, I don't have PLG on here. Shoot. That was supposed to be the one that I was still watching because it's so volatile. Let's see. Let me put this back up towards platinum. I had targets, and I know it was still breaking down. But now at $2.24, it's coming up towards the first area of interest. Now next week we have to see if the trade, how we trade in precious metals. I've been very honest with everybody and said if you're trading, don't trade commodities for that little consolidation, because I didn't want anybody to get trapped on this fake out up, because it very well could come all the way back to like, man, that's so tricky, because the technical target's $1.47 out of the breakdown of what looks like a little bit of a, I don't want to necessarily call it a rising wedge, because if you go up there, it's one thing, and I think we do need to honor that, but we can also see in this pattern, if we just come from here and start to denote it for what it actually was doing through here, we could even see that it broke down from here as well. And then if you bring this line across, you could see that it got rejected again. So that's a downtrending resistance that unfortunately it came up and rejected perfectly. So like I said, the trading algorithm is working with us very nicely. And if this continues to break down, the technical entry point would be around $1.47. But it started to build a shoulder head, possible shoulder. Now, is it a back test of this little neckline it's created? It's below it right now, I believe. Oh, no, it's not. It's right about where it's at. But as of right now, I wouldn't get too frisky here as of yet. I would wait to see what kind of reaction we have to make sure we're not in a head and shoulders in the short term to finish off that breakdown. So, to be determined. Excellent question. Excellent question. You guys want to learn the shorting here? You want to know a key secret? You don't need to learn shorting. Because sometimes, just think about it this way. When you're shorting, you're looking at it just to go down and you're not looking for opportunity. This is something I've learned along the way. So instead of shorting, what I do is I get out of the way, and my profit becomes in a short. If I write a trade and it comes down, let's say 10%, and I got $30,000, and that's a $3,000 savings. Maybe you take out $2,000, and then you've got an extra $1,000 to put back in than you had, but now you're paying yourself. It might not be a short, but you're taking advantage of the market breaking down it because you understand the short philosophy. So here's the trick with shorting. A lot of people who short that do very well forget about the long trade. They forget about the re-entry because they're so focused on the breakdown that they're no longer paying attention to the up and down. So what I've done is, in most regards, I don't short the market, but I pay myself through the short, if that makes sense. Doesn't mean I won't ever short the market, but I pay myself on each drop. So on this last drop, it dropped down. I didn't short it, but I looked for the next breakout point with imbalance. We found it appropriately. It held. It gave us the validation. And when it went up, there was a $2,000 profit just in that short run up for a day and a half. I took $1,600 off out of that profit, put it into my own savings, kept $400 over the top. So now I've not only got that extra $400, but the price is now coming below where it started with extra money. And I was able to pay myself as if I shorted the market. And that's the way that I do it. That's not for everybody, but it allows me to keep that overall fundamental understanding of, okay, well, here's my long and downside, the short downside, but it allows me the ability to stay very active, very liquid, and then I'm not afraid to re-enter if I have to. So it's very hard when you're looking at both sides of it. It depends where you're saying, no, my friend, be careful with that. It's all an illusion. If it's in a bear market and you have it in your bank account, you're not losing the money because you're going to re-enter with that money fully stable. You got to be careful with that. Remember that. Because if you would have lost 10% on the drop, but you took it out first and put it into a savings or in a stable coin or things like that, you're not losing that inflationary tug. So then you're able to use that money fully intact. Sometimes the savings account is not the worst thing in the world. If you're collecting 3.5% in a high yield savings account when all markets are moving down, technically you're staying ahead of the game, and then you pull that money out and reinvest it at the appropriate time, is all I'm saying. Or you turn that money into a cash reserve, because a lot of times when the banking system goes down and things like that, you're going to need cash on hand. But I don't agree with you. Who said that actually? Who said that? Depends on where you are saving it. If it's in a bank, savings money equals losing money. I don't disagree with that over time. It's just we're talking about a moment of time, not a long-term period of time. So I agree with you overall, but think about it. I think you're absolutely right about that, honestly. But we're just purely talking about the preservation of our capital we've already made. So wealth preservation, first generation, which we learned in the class, is sometimes the best option is to save the money when all. But obviously there were better trades. You're right, because you could have put it in oil. But now you're jumping from one to the other, and I think you should have that capital separated. So maybe that is how you separate capital and put it into other ventures. So I don't disagree with you. What you said is absolutely on point. That's a great way to say it. I just wanted to shed a little more of enlightenment on maybe, how we could do that. Stablecoin yield, PayPal yield greater than bank account. Not untrue. And when I say I put it into my own savings, a lot of times that means I turn it into cash for a scenario that we can't predict coming. Because I do think at a time we're not going to be able to use debit cards and things like that. It's happened before and it'll happen again. Or you turn it into precious metals when you can. So what's up, Tom? Hope you're having a great day and everyone as well. I'm having a great day with all of you. Just I'm a little anxious to hear an update on Jen. I mean, if you guys don't know, my stepmom's daughter, so by virtue my stepsister of about 13 years. She had a C-section when she had her child a couple days ago. They sent her home, but she had internal bleeding. So she ended up being rushed back, ended up flatlining. So she basically practically almost lost her life. Fortunately, they were close to Ann Arbor where they live. So they got to rush her to U of M Hospital, which is the single best place to be rushed to, in my opinion, in this entire country. Unless you're a kid, then I believe that Corwell Children's Hospital out in Grand Rapids is the best. It's the second or third rated in the entire country. So, no, you're right. I took his comment out of context. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not sure if you were talking to me or somebody else. So yeah, my mind is in a weird spot because I'm waiting for an update, but at the same time, I like to work in these spots. So you might hear me for a lot longer than an hour today. I don't know. I love seeing 100 people in here. That's a vote of confidence. I know a lot of people will be leaving because it's Saturday. We've been here over an hour, but there's still so much to learn if you stick around. Let's see. Amused reindeer, who said Victor? Good morning. Who said the prayer in here? Where did I just see that? Proverbs 1:5. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. Amen. Amen to that. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for that, Victor and Mark Caston. I appreciate that. But yeah, we prayed to the higher power, and Yahweh watched over us. God has given us the guidance needed, at least, for her to have a successful operation, and at least from what we hear, stop the internal bleeding. But we won't know. She's still very much in the ICU, day to day right now. So I haven't got an update. My dad's up at the hospital currently with my stepmom in Ann Arbor. I was supposed to go over to my dad's day with T, but with that all happening, obviously that's not going to happen. So we'll see what happens. I know Liz is very stressed out. That's her daughter, and I completely understand. So Mr. Stott says, I'm at a loss on most of my crypto. Been thinking about cutting my losses and parking those funds in oil. Wait for the next crypto dump and then reallocating into crypto. It's tough right now because, man, I don't disagree with you. Just it's tricky to go from one asset that's way down to another one that's pumping so hard. Not saying oil doesn't still have room because it's still got that first target of 101. But yeah, that's going to be, that's an interesting decision you have to make. I can't guide you on that. I can only show you what I see in the charts. I mean, I can try to guide you a little bit. Amused Reindeer said, I bet anything she is fighting hard and she will get back to her baby. I guarantee she is. She's a fighter for sure. They're very spiritual too. They lost their dad in medical malpractice years ago when they sent him home when he was having very bad issues, and then he ended up passing away. They won a pretty decent settlement. Took years and years. That happened before I even knew them. But yeah, so they're not. They've had a lot of stuff happen in the medical field, but yet nobody wants to listen to me when it comes to the medical stuff. With how it's more of a killing state that we live in the USA rather than a helpful state with medical. So they've definitely been through the ringer with all of that. Um, the Illusion House will be praying. You know, I find it ironic. We started talking about spiritualness, and a lot of people are leaving, which, you know, like we say, you don't know. You know, look how many people left when we started talking spiritually. That's pretty interesting. So is it the spiritual side that gets people to leave? I'm wondering. Because we went from 115 to 90 as we started talking about spiritual guidance. So I'm starting to see that side too, that there's a lot more people that are more against the spiritualness. We're not pushing our spiritualness. We're just asking for guidance. I'm not pushing it on anybody. But I always do find that interesting. It's pretty interesting to see this day after day. But anyhow, you know, we are under an assault. We are in an assault when it comes to the spiritual world. So the devil definitely does his work. I agree with that, big dog. And thanks for being in Tom Zone for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. So like Julie says, I'm too hard on myself a lot. So a lot of this is, it is what it is. And I need to be thankful for what we have and the amount of people that come here every single day. I am very hard on myself. I am very hard on myself. So, you know, I got to work on that. Definitely working overtime, Crypto Cooter. Definitely working overtime. Now, this 4-hour candle is about to end in 2 minutes, and this is brutal right now. We really wanted it to end at $1.3650 in this candle body with this wick pointing up. Now we're just validating these few breakdown candles. And the next one could be the push down here, so we'll see. Victor says, I bet you the ones that leave for that reason ask God to make crypto skyrocket. I mean, that's probably true. That's probably true. I love the comments. Big Dog says, you're doing great, Tom. Thank you for that. You know I am blessed. I have a lot of people here that really do support what we do here and believe in the same ways. So, you know, I'm getting more used to it, actually. I'm becoming more understanding that we really do need to keep the focus. Anyhow, one more minute and we can finally see this 4-hour candle, its direction. And it's not pretty. We created a new low. We took out the last 3 candles. So it's not pretty by any means. Got about 3 seconds. That's going to engulf to the downside when it opens. So it's going to fully engulf that wick, which is not going to look nice. Oof. That's a brutal looking candle. We haven't made a new low yet. The moment it makes a new low, we'll probably hunt for that back down. Looks like we took the stairs up, took the elevator up, take the stairs down, which should get us around that $1.30-ish area is what it looks like. It's on Losing says, good men are usually hard on themselves. I agree with that. Crypto Plumber, thank you so much for being in town. 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Jeffrey, second month with us. That was Crypto News. I appreciate that. Says, thank you for your work, Tom. It's very much appreciated. You're welcome for that, and I appreciate your continued support. And Crypto Plumber says he really does do so. Hey, I appreciate the kind words so much for the community. The people that are negative haven't been here long enough to witness it. I agree. And, you know, that's why we have to make sure we're not negative ourselves so that we can pull in the positive light. So we want to pull in those people. Bearded Viking, I 100% understand why people left yesterday. That's why, you know, we need to, stay together. I'm praying you understand why I left yesterday. It was not because I don't believe it support you. Just under a lot and didn't want to take on more. I support you all. I understand that. I encouraged people to leave yesterday, believe it or not. You know, I encouraged it yesterday, and that's I understand that more than I can even express in words. That's why I always say people are dealing with a lot, so you don't want to feed into that negative side because some people, this is the only kind of salvation they get. They come in here, they get some solace, they have a good community around them, they get to talk. Yes, I would look forward to that email, Bearded Viking. I really look forward to it. Um, but yeah, I understand. I don't judge you and I don't even blame you. I actually encourage people to leave and not deal with that nonsense. Um, let's see. Yeah, I think the most likely outcome here is that we would come down and retest, unless we can invalidate this. And we would know if we invalidate the drop potential. Because first we'd come up above $1.36.7 and ultimately break this box at $1.39.2 and try to come back up and retest that $1.42.5 area. Otherwise, it's pointing to the test down here at around $1.30. Well, if you watch yesterday's show, you'll definitely get something. It's possible. Well, like I said, we need that so we understand good from bad. We understand the value of positivity over negativity, and we can see satanic versus godly. You won't know the godly side unless you see the satanic side, just like you won't see the good side unless you see the bad side of people. So we strive for the positivity and the good. With so much bad and evil in the world, I strive for good. So if we reset this pattern, I mean, it could bring us all the way back down, but we really do need to see if this descending wedge is a valid breakout. Remember with oil? Not unlike that. So I really want to see how this reacts. I really want to see how this reacts. Wow, we have 100 people in here and 99 likes. That's a 99% like ratio based on how many are in here. Not based on how many have come and gone, but based on how many people are in the moment, and that's awesome. What is one thing I needed to speak on about XRP that most of you might not have seen that I put on my Facebook side? So this is something, nobody's going to want to see this, but I still put it out there because I thought it was interesting. Ripto was the second biggest donating token. The second biggest donation-wise. So Ripple and LAUSD took the lead on, so basically they're giving blockchains annual reports. So Ripple has rapidly climbed the ranks to become the second most donated digital asset globally, trailing only Bitcoin. So the crypto philanthropy sector saw a massive 66% surge in 2025, surpassing the 100 million mark for total donations, and Ripple was number 2. We had some adoption news in Japan. I thought this was pretty interesting if you guys want to stick around and listen to this. So, huge adoption. Major Japanese bank officially offers XRP as dividends. So, the major news out of Japan, SBI Shinsei Bank just announced they're officially offering XRP as a shareholder benefit. So, the breakdown from that was the reward. Eligible shareholders can choose to receive a coupon code redeemable for 2,000 JPY worth of XRP, or they can get a vitamin supplement. I know it's funny. Or they can get a supplement. It's so funny. Eligibility shareholders holding at least 100 shares as of March 31st, 2026 distribution, or during the distribution, the XRP will be credited to their accounts at SBI VC Trade Co. Ltd. with the conversion rate based on early December 2026. This is a massive move showing traditional banking institutions integrating XRP directly into their corporate reward structures. And then I put the official document down here. It's very hard to read, but we can try. Oh, here, let me do it like this because I saved it on here. So it might be easier to read. Oh, nope, that's not it. Why not? Where the heck is it at? Okay, maybe I didn't save it. Interesting. I had to have saved it. Whatever. We'll just read it through there. So, February 25th, 2026, Shinsei Bank and Tokyo president and CEO. Oh, here, let me just do this. This will be easier. Now I can zoom into it. So, This was SBI Shinzai Bank Limited, and this was from February 25th, the official document, and now they pushed this out to be official for March 31st, so it's almost there. So SBI Shinzai Bank head office Tokyo President CEO Katsui Kawazima, hereinafter SBI Shinzai Bank announced that it has resolved at the board of directors meeting held today, which was February 25th, to provide shareholder benefits to shareholders of record as of March 31st, 2026. Details are as follows. This shareholder benefits offering is implemented as a part of the bank's current shareholder return initiatives. The implementation of the shareholder benefits offering in and out after the next fiscal year onward will be subject to further consideration, taking into comprehensive account the bank's operating environment, financial condition, and the appropriate approach to medium to long-term shareholder returns. So number one, the purpose of shareholder benefits offering. Following its listing on the prime market of the Tokyo Stock Exchange on December 17, 2025, also known as my 42nd birthday, the bank has resolved to implement shareholder benefits offering as a token of appreciation for the continued support of its shareholders. The offering aims to enhance the awareness and investment attractiveness of the bank shares, deepen understanding about the SBI Group, promote medium to long-term shareholding, and expand the shareholder base. Through this offering, the bank endeavors to strengthen long-term and stable relationships with shareholder and to further enhance shareholder value. 2. The outline of shareholder benefits. Eligible shareholders listed or recorded in the Register of Shareholders as of March 31st, 2026. 2. The details of shareholder benefits. A. Applicable to shareholders holding at least 100 shares, the bank will present eligible shareholders with selection of application tickets, which they can use to apply for either a coupon code redeemable for cryptocurrency XRP credited to an account at SBI VC Trade Company Ltd, or for a set product sold by SBI a promo CO, which that's a supplement, which why would you take that? Anyhow, LTD Note 1, Note 2, number of shares held 100 shares, 1 trading unit or more, details of benefit. The shareholder will be invited to select and apply for one of the following 2 options. A. Coupon code entitling the holder to XRP cryptocurrency equivalent to 2,000 JPY, scheduled to be based on the conversion rate as of early December 26, which is the application date. Or 2. 1 bottle of ALA plus Gold EX60 tablet dietary supplement, JPY 11,800 including tax, a product of SBI ALA Promo CO Ltd. B. Applicable to all shareholders, including those holding fewer than 100 shares or only odd lot shares, 1 to 99 shares. The bank will present with 1 discount purchase application which they can use. So that's going on. That's something that's definitely going on. I like that though. I like that. Well, if the Clarity Act gets passed, that's going to enhance the ability to kind of regulate the futures market in a way. I mean, we can't really go into more until we see what they're going to write into it officially, but that's something to pay attention to. I mean, I don't discount that. Now we need to see if we make a new low here, because if we do, we're going to get a little bit of a struggle, but let's just see how the day plays on. Let's see. See, you guys are talking beautifully in the comments, but I'm pretty much done with this. I'm going to probably go take a break, rest my mind, go get an update about Jen, see what's going on, and I'll keep you guys updated. I really appreciate everybody this morning. We had a great live, probably one of the better ones in recent days, in my opinion. Please try to share this when you see the live put out. I'd appreciate if you hype it so we can try to get more views, try to get more people to, latch onto our community. And remember, you guys it starts with all of us, with me and you. If we bring in the point of positivity, the inviting hand, the guiding light, more people will join this community. And at that, if we bring out the negative energy, the satanic side of all of us, and we are very divisive, more people will leave. So I really appreciate the effort all of you made this morning.